Good morning, actually afternoon. This is Loretta Garcia. I'm a member of the Contemporary Issues Forum. I'll be your host for today. And as you saw, we are recording the session to post on YouTube. So if you will click the little blue button that comes up, that will allow us to continue. So an upcoming forum on April 10th is titled United Nations and Ukraine Meeting the Challenge. The speaker will be Don Bliss, former U.S. ambassador to a UN agency and an attorney and author. Please, as always, feel free to suggest speakers and topics to any member of the CC&C Contemporary Issues Forum. Please keep your mic muted during today's session. Post your questions at any time in the chat and we'll read them at the end. Today's speaker is Reverend Sarah Anders, spiritual leader of Wild Earth Spiritual Community. Reverend Sarah will speak first, and then she'll be followed by two river roaders, Charlotte Moser and Joe Salunas, who will speak about what RRUUC is doing about the environment and finding spirituality in nature. What a great time of year for us to be talking about nature. Spring is bursting out all around us. But frankly, for UUs, nature is always a good topic. It brings to mind the UU seventh principle, which teaches us respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. And today we have a special guest who will speak about that interconnection and the broader context of spirituality in nature, a subject in which she is a leader. Before turning it over to our speaker, let's see what you think about today's topic. We're going to post a poll which will have 5 questions. You'll choose an answer and then scroll down to the next question and so forth in sequence. I'll read the questions while you're voting, and your choices are 1, strongly agree, 2, agree, 3, neutral or don't know, 4, disagree, 5, strongly disagree. Once you finish the questions, it should have a little button to click for to submit. Make sure no one else is coming in. Okay, we have one other.
I didn't see the question.
You don't
I missed it.
No, it'll come up in front of you on the screen, and I'm going to read as you all are voting, okay? So if there's the poll, so I'll switch over and read the questions. Question 1. Engaging with nature is a regular part of my spiritual practice. Question 2. I have felt connected to a greater force when in nature. And again, the choices are strongly agree, neutral or don't know, disagree, or strongly disagree. Question 3. I have one or several spots where I connect to nature. Question 4. I support RRUUC's promotion of spirituality in nature and of the environment. And the last question, 5, is I'd like to get more involved with RRUUC in these areas. Once we get all the answers in, we'll read the results of the poll. Natalie Shaw will read the results. So are you all seeing the multiple questions, or are you still on question 1?
I saw the whole list.
Okay, good. Okay, because I only see the first question, but So I guess I can share results. Has everyone finished the questions? If you still need a few more, 30 more seconds, a minute, let me know.
I'm not participating in the poll. I would skew the results.
Sure, that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead then and share, or Natalie, you want to share the results of the first question?
Results.
Or do I have to do that?
I can do it. Can you hear me okay?
I
Yes.
can hear you and I can see your poll results.
Oh,
Great.
okay, good.
So for our first question, engaging with nature is a regular part of my spiritual practice. We have 50% strongly agreed and 50% agreed.
Oh, good.
For question 2, I felt connected to a greater force when in nature. 75% strongly agreed and 25% agreed. For question 3, I have spots where I connect to nature. 50% strongly agreed, 50% agreed. Question 4, I support RRUUC's promotion of spirituality in nature and of the environment. Again, 50% strongly agreed and 50% agreed. Question 5, I'd like to get more involved with RRUUC in such areas. 25% agreed and 75% were neutral or didn't know.
Okay, great. So I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. Okay, for today's forum, Reverend Sarah Anders is our featured speaker, and she would like it to be immersive. So if it's convenient for you, please move outdoors or move toward a window from where you can observe nature. At any time, you may place a question or comment in the chat box. Reverend Sarah wants to hear from you. So who is our speaker? Sarah Anders is the spiritual leader for Wild Earth Spiritual Community, a local congregation. She was ordained in the United Church of Christ and holds a Master of Divinity from Wesley Seminary. But after hearing from many people who yearned for spiritual deepening, sorry, I ran those words together, spiritual deepening and a direct experience of the divine, Sarah moved out of organized religion and created the Wild Earth Spiritual Community. The community gathers twice a month in the outdoors to celebrate nature. She encourages falling in love with the world around us. She will tell us more. Now I'll turn it over to Sarah Anders.
Oh, thank you so much, Loretta. I'm so happy to be here, and I want to say a big thank you to John Nowick for putting this together and inviting me. And as we are here together, we also want to hold in our hearts John's wife, Pauline, who is in the hospital recovering from serious injuries. So thank you so much, John, and thank you, Loretta. If possible, I would, oh yay, more people's faces. That's exactly what I was going to ask for. If you can, I would love to see you. I understand if you don't want to be seen, so just ignore this. But it's lovely to be able to see your faces, and I can see when you might maybe have resonance with something or not. Thank you, thank you. I would like to have 2 volunteers for something very, very simple. If you would just raise your hand. Very simple. I'm going to have to call on someone if no one volunteers. Thank you. And that is Chris And anyone else? One more person.
I
All right,
can.
And who was that? Loretta?
Loretta, yeah, I'm doing a lot in the background, but I'll go ahead and be your second.
Okay, so this is your task. At any point in the next, let's say 45 minutes, you will interrupt whatever is going on, whatever is being spoken, whatever, if there's discussion, if I'm intensely in a story, you will interrupt loudly by unmuting and saying, stop. That's all. You'll wait, just stop. You'll wait about a minute, maybe 2 minutes. And during that time, I invite you to either walk to a window or go outside, or if you're sitting where you have a view, take in the view. One of my very favorite quotes is, never underestimate the generosity of a window. So Chris and Loretta, at any point you interrupt, you say stop, participants walk or have a view, and then for about a minute, maybe 2 minutes, and then you'll say return. So you have 2 words, you're saying stop and then return. Participants, what you are going to do is simply gaze at the view, gaze at the landscape. And this is the important part of it. No identifying. No, oh, I see the bluebells coming up. Oh, there are the daffodils. If at all possible, there's no identification with what you're seeing. There's no judgment and there's no criteria. So what you are doing is looking with almost a childlike wonder. Almost with a childlike wonder. Just breathe it in and exhale. Breathe it in and exhale. And when you start to judge or critique, return to your breathing. That will bring you back to being present. Okay? Does everyone have their little tasks?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I'd actually like to start. I'm glad that Joe is with us now, because Joe was on the call before we began, early when we were planning late last week. And John said something that I thought was really interesting, which what we're talking about today is spirituality in nature. And he said, what if you don't, he asked, what if you don't consider yourself spiritual? How else do you approach this? And thank you for that question, John, because I've been thinking a lot about it, and I think it's really important. So what I would like to do to start is share a little story and see if that resonates with you, if it helps you in terms of thinking of something other than spiritual or spirituality. Okay? So you changed my plan, Joe, today. I wasn't going to include this, but so I heard Parker Palmer speak at least 25 years ago. And Parker is a Quaker, he's an author, he's a theologian. He's written a lot about depression, his depression, how nature has helped him through that. And he started I'm not going to remember the name of the group, a Center for Renewal and Courage, something like that. And he was helping people who are out in the world working and truly doing good things, but trying to reconcile the role that they have and things they have to do with their soul. So there's another problematic word, soul. Let's just use the word heart. he was bringing people together who had difficulty reconciling their role with their heart, where their heart was leading them. So he had 25 people, again, about 25 years ago. He had 25 people there, and they were listening to one another's struggles. And as they were listening, they were not to give back any feedback. They were not to offer suggestions. They were not to try to fix it. There was no problem solving. They were just saying it. And the result, what the others were doing was witnessing it. So Charlotte said she spoke this morning at the service, and she had a testimony on nature and what that means to her. And that for her to say and to have other people just simply witness it, to affirm what she's saying, is so important. So this is what they were doing. And Parker Palmer's thoughts were drawn to a man who was there, who was really, seemed a bit in despair. And he was working, these were all people who were either elected officials or they were appointed in the government. So rather top level people in the government. And this man had been working at the Department of Agriculture for about 10 years. Now, previous to that, he had been a farmer in Idaho. And he was struggling with a particular administrative action that was important for him to do for the current administration, but was going against his farmer's heart. So he was talking about this and, just kept sharing it. And on the last morning, the final morning, he came to them and he said, I am here extraordinarily tired because I didn't sleep last night, but I had a revelation. And he said, I am not answering to my boss. I am not going to respond with what my boss is telling me to say. And someone asked him, there was silence, and someone asked him, how do you plan to do that? How do you plan to reconcile that? And he said, I know now that I report to the land. I report to the land.
Stop.
Say,
Return.
so I wonder, I'll wait just a moment until maybe Joe and Jane return. I don't report to my boss. I report to the land. So I'm wondering if this gives you another way to think of what I'm talking about today, spirituality in nature. I'm wondering who you report to, or where does your heart lead you? So you might say, the still small voice within. Where does that lead you? And it might be quite different from what you are told by this society to do. And so it can be very lonely, but that's a whole other thing. So what I would like to do is ask you now, and Joe, I'm going to put you on the spot. Does that help with the term spirituality? If you were to insert the word, let us just say the wisdom of nature or the knowing of nature.
Absolutely, it does.
Okay, good. Thank you. Does anyone else want to say something about that?
I would just say awe.
Ah,
Awe. A-W-E. Awe.
ah, which is so interesting because awe often has a saying, ah. So thank you. Yes, awe, the awe of nature, the wonder, the mystery. So what we're talking about is a different kind of knowledge. And so it is a knowledge that is not necessarily found in books. It is found in awe. It is found in mystery. It is found in the wind. It's found in fish. It's found in bird. And this is not something that our culture, our traditions emphasize. So what I'd like to talk to you about first is something called the wisdom way of knowing. It comes by way of a teacher of mine, Cynthia Bourgeot, but it is ancient in its tradition. She picked it up from Gurdjieff, but he picked it up from ancient spiritual leaders. He wrote a book, Meetings with Remarkable Men, ages ago, and he sort of honed what he learned from spiritual masters around the world into this wisdom way of knowing. And there are 3 centers in this way of knowing. John knows this backward and forward because I keep pounding people on the head about it. But we in our society live where? We live up here. We live in our minds. Our ancestors were deeply immersed in body and land. So there was a different kind of faith there that had nothing to do with words. It was an animal faith, if you can take that, a faith that the sun's going to rise in the morning. No wonder they worship the sun. A faith that this ground is holding me. And this is what, as we've over the years moved further and further away from the land, we have forgotten and left behind. So what a lot of what we do in rewilding spirituality or rewilding our connection to that voice within, a lot of what we do has to do with embodiment. I know embodiment is something that is kind of being touted now in a lot of meditation circles, and that's good, that's okay. What we learn in the wisdom way, it's good. I'm not dissing it, but I think it can be solely focused. What we're doing with the wisdom way of knowing, if you just take a circle and make a pie chart, and you have it equally divided in 3 areas, you have the mind, you have the body or the movement center. The mind is the intellectual center. You have the body or the movement center, and then you have the heart or the emotional center. And this is tricky because it's not emotions like it's not I feel happy, I feel sad, I'm upset. It's the heart center. And the way I refer to it is the heart as an organ of spiritual perception. So let's say it another way. The heart as an organ of knowing more. So in this pie, this circle, we are balanced we are awake, we are present when we're equally present in each center. So equally at the same time, equally in mind, equally in body, equally in heart. And believe me, that's tricky. It is one of these things where you can practice. It's a lifetime journey. That's all there is to it, because we have been brought up to be present in our minds. What do you want to say? What percentage of the time? What would you say? Someone just throw it out.
90%.
Yes. Easily, Loretta, easily. Some would say 95, some would say even 98. So we really are working on retraining ourselves to be present in body and heart. And you can use whatever word you want for that heart.
Stop. Return.
So some of you may know that I am the leader of a group called Wild Earth Spiritual Community. And what I want to say is, I am not here to get you to come to Wild Earth Spiritual Community. I am here to invite you to explore within your community this connection to land. So very quickly, I got started in this. I was in a church and as minister for faith formation. And I got to the point where I was not being fed and I didn't feel like I could authentically feed people. There's something about being in four walls that makes it difficult for me to connect. And so I started with Beth Norcross at the Center for Spirituality and Nature, the Wild Earth Spiritual Community. And there is now a Wild Church Network. You can find it online. There are at least, I don't know, maybe at least 100 wild churches. And I was part of the founding group in, oh gosh, I can't remember what year, 2017, maybe 2018. It has grown since then from a handful of wild churches to a bunch of them. And I will say that they are all very different. And that's very cool. I'll also say I am an outlier in this movement. So what I mean by that is we were called Wild Church. What were we called, John? Church of the Wild. We were called Church of the Wild, Metro DC. And after a while, I felt the need and heard from other people that it was important to maybe leave that term church behind. And so we did, because again, we're so tied to words and what that means to us that it was confining. It was a narrow conception of what we could be and were. So we changed our name to Wild Earth Spiritual Community. Most of the groups in the Wild Church Network are connected to a denomination. We are not, and I purposefully made sure we were not. Believe me, that is to our detriment, because some of these groups across the country who are connected to denominations have been given land. There's one in Austin, it's Dripping Springs, Texas. It is Lutheran. They gather outdoors, but on land given to them by the Lutheran Church. There's one in, I think it's in Colorado, in Aurora, called The Land, and I believe it's Presbyterian, it might be Methodist. What I find that they do in a lot of these is they do church outside. So they take the structure of church, and that's okay. I know there are people who need that, but they take that structure and move it outdoors. Well, I wasn't about to do that. And it took me a while to figure out how to do it. But the way we gather is first and foremost coming together, for instance, with a drum beat, with something to align our heartbeats. We might come together first with some simple presencing. So we might tap, we might shake to get ourselves embodied. We might begin with a chant. And this is one we often do. So imagine this outside in a circle with others. What we need is here. What we need is here. Over and over, what we need is here. So we aren't walking into this circle and sitting down and beginning together in the same consciousness that we might come and begin that way, but we want to go into a deeper consciousness. We want to leave all that other stuff behind and come together and arrive and begin to go into an alternative consciousness, if that makes any sense. So what we're doing is coming together as fellow beings, creatures, recognizing our interconnectivity to the rest of the world and beings. And I quickly just want to say, I actually have a hard time with saying spirituality in nature. It makes me a little crazy because we are nature. And it is putting us back in this duality of being something separate and of course superior. We definitely have that hang up. So I would almost say we come together once again with this animal experiential sense of presence. Now, I don't know, I don't remember how long am I supposed to go, Loretta?
You can go until a quarter till, or you can stop when you're finished if you want to
Okay.
ask
Okay, I
questions.
just want to figure out what I want to, what we do is we do not have a sermon. And our sermon is a silent solo walk in the forest. Some wild churches walk for 45 minutes silently out, they just disperse. We walk for 20. And then we come back and we share our experience. I will often nudge people, give people a prompt, but always the most important thing, and again, we're getting back to this idea of soul and role or heart and role, is we follow where our heart nudges us or where instinct tells us. You may have an appointment with a rock during your wander and you had no idea. You may have an appointment with a tree. You may have an appointment with an ant. So you really, it's this animal senses that you're responding to. This whole, there's a lot of work we do with embodiment. And I can give you hints for how to do this. You sort of pay attention to, and I'm happy to do that at some time if you get your sing group back together. It's so hard to, do all this in 45 minutes or 30 minutes. But you ask yourself, this is one way, what is flirting with me? What is flirting with me? What's tapping me on the shoulder? It's like, oh, that dog. Whatever it is, I don't know if you all can hear the dog that's barking now. It is a different kind of knowing. I do want to hear some questions and hear from you all. But
Okay,
this is,
and also, sorry to interrupt, we do have Charlotte and Joe, if you want to take them now. I don't see anything in the chat yet.
let's wait just a minute for them. This is
Sure.
what I want to leave you with. I am happy to do a sing with you or lead you in some kind of a wander anytime. I recommend, here I keep saying you can't get there with the mind, folks, but there's so much you can find. Joseph Cornell, of course. This is Church of the Wild, a book by Victoria Lors that came out in October. She's actually moving to the East Coast from Bellingham, and she'll be here in May, and maybe I hope to have her come talk to my group at least. John Young is a tracker. Do you know John Young, Joe? John Young is a tracker, a bird expert. Anyway, forest bathing. What I can send you a list of resources, but I have to tell you, the most important thing is spending time on land. Spending time with land. It is a courtship of the particular. It is falling in love. And when we fall in love, we spend time with who we love. We spend time with what we love.
Sure, if you can send me those resources, I'll post them in the comments.
Well, what I will do is I'll send you, after we're finished, I'll send you, actually, I won't send it until later tonight. I'm going out of town. But
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so knowledge is not about knowing more. Knowledge is knowing with more of you. Knowing with more of you. And if you do nothing else, you go outside, leave your mind behind. And there's many, many ways to do that, prompts. And you'll sense a shift. There's so much I could say. I'm sorry. Do you have any questions?
If you want to just raise your hand and then you can open your mic and speak. Who is that?
Yes.
Chris? Okay, Chris, you want to ask your question?
What connections do you make with the Celtics and the Druids and the pagans?
Oh, good, great question. If we'd had more time, I would have hit on that. And I will share with you, a couple of resources. We do look at the Celtics tradition. We celebrated Imbolc in March, which is the cross-quarter day between the solstice and the equinox. I also am learning from, I don't know, okay, I'll just say it, from witches. There's a woman named Selena Fox who,
Wiccans.
Wiccans, that's what I wanted to say, Wiccans, who leads outdoor spirituality, essentially. And I'm loving watching some of her YouTubes and seeing what she's doing, because there's a lot of wealth there. She comes up with some great chants. So that's where I am, Chris. And I'm speaking only for myself, but I love taking it all in. Interestingly, Selena, I'll tell you what the church can mess you up and do to you. Selena and I saw her online and I looked at her picture and I said, oh, I know her. Who is she? I know her. And of course, she's much older now. And I looked and looked. And finally, in the middle of the night, it came to me. And we were adolescents in the same Southern Baptist church. She's changed her name. So I couldn't recognize her name, but I just find it interesting that that is something we've both sort of wound up in this rewilding nature. As someone else has a question, Mary Lou?
The church used to have Druid ceremonies at River Road. Do they do anything like that still? Does anybody know?
I haven't seen one in a while. They do the labyrinth once in a while. I don't know if that's related to any of this.
Well, we've had
go ahead.
solstice and equinox event,
Right. We do those every quarter.
but the strict Celtic ones, which are really very specific, like Imbolc, we haven't done. And we haven't done because, to be honest, nobody has come forward to promote that. You know, ministers themselves can only do so much.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things we do, we've started, it's under the radar, it's not on our website, but there is a small, maybe about total anywhere from 7 to 11 of us women who go on full moon walks at night in the dark. And we keep it under the radar because sometimes we're someplace illegal. We were stopped by park police this last month. So I just don't want to be responsible for that in any way. But that's one little thing you could have once a year, even a full moon walk outside. So another good person to read is Thomas Barry. He may get to have too much God language for you, but just substitute whatever it is you might want to use. But his emphasis is on the great conversation that we no longer have. I imagine, Joe, when you're out with the trees, you have conversations with the trees. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but so that we are coming together as not as a collection of subjects. I mean, a collection of objects, excuse me, not as a collection of objects, but as a communion of subjects, as a communion of subjects. And this great conversation is when we can go outside and settle ourselves into an intimate relationship with that ant. Settle ourselves with a relational connection, so that if you put your hand on the tree, which I'm sure you do, Joe, if you put your hand on the tree, yes, it's about what you're sensing, it's about what you're feeling, but it's reciprocal. What is tree feeling? What is tree sensing? When you walk on the land, You're aware of your footstep on the ground, how that feels. How is it for ground? How is it for ground? What are they sensing? It's all alive. So it's that reciprocity where before you begin to walk, you remember that we are one. So we say in Water Spiritual Community to both each other, and we say to everything around us, I am part of you, you are part of me, we are one. And with that, I'll finish. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'll introduce first Charlotte and then Joe. And Charlotte has a small video, and then Joe has a slide presentation. They'll do that on their end, or I'll do hers and then she'll do
Okay.
mine.
Are you ready, Loretta?
Well, let me read your bio. I was trying to bring that up. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, so now we'll turn to Charlotte and Joe. Charlotte Moser has been a UU for 40 years and at RRUUC since 1986. She is a retired from the International Union for Conservation of Nature. She formed a Spirituality in Nature group, SING, at RRUUC in 2019, and she spearheaded the effort at RRUUC to recertify as a green sanctuary. Go ahead, Charlotte. Do you
Okay.
want to play your video first, or you want to talk first?
Let me just briefly talk. I have to leave at 1 o'clock, so I'll just make my remarks very short. Yes, I did. I wanted to find a way to bridge my spiritual journey with my environmental activism. And then I discovered the Center for Spirituality and Nature that Sarah has referred to as one of the central beginning points for some of these, spiritual groups. And I got trained to start a SING, Spirituality and Nature group, using the curriculum that was developed by the center. And Sarah is right, that curriculum was very church-based in some ways. It was written almost, I think, United Methodist. I'm not sure exactly what Beth is, but nevertheless, we went ahead and started meeting, and there was a small group of us that met on Sundays, but then the pandemic hit and we all went into hiatus. And if there's enough interest, we could reactivate this thing based on the new ideas that we now know from Sarah. My email address is mosercharlotte@gmail.com. You can also get it from Loretta. Let me know if you want to help. We need leadership on this to make it happen. So I'm going to show this short video on what a SING could be and who it might appeal to. And this was a video put together by the Center for Spirituality in Nature. So you may take a look.
Okay, let me pull that up. Well,
While she pulls that up, Charlotte, are you interested in doing something with the church?
With the church? What do you mean with the church? You mean at the church? Or
Never mind. I'll let you go ahead with the video. I'm sorry.
are you seeing the video?
no, you see the screen
You're
share.
sharing.
No,
Can you see the video now?
No.
no.
It's just the share. Okay, it's just my screen. Okay, let me see if I can.
Says you are viewing your screen, but it doesn't say,
Doesn't have.
there's nothing on there. It's
Okay.
just black.
Okay, hold on.
And for Mary Lou, Charlotte's a member of River Road.
You know, I'm open to almost anything. If we want to be connected with the church, we have the membership that we could draw from. If we want to be independent from the church and just reach out to the community or for membership, that's fine too.
Now, do you see it when I'm going to start playing it and see if you see it? Because
Not yet.
okay. Because I'm on, let me try it. Well, shoot, I'm on.
Says we're viewing your screen, but it's black.
It's showing on my screen, which is why I'm not sure. Maybe she didn't give me full rights with the, okay, let me try this.
It says it's showing your screen, but it's black.
You know what, rather than wait, continue on that, why don't we let Joe go ahead? It looks like there's a technical problem here, so
Yeah, I'm sorry. It is on my screen, but it doesn't come up for some reason.
yeah, it's,
Okay.
why don't we just let Joe do his presentation since he's got a slideshow. And
Loretta, I don't think I need an intro. I know most of the folks on the call here.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm the grounds person.
Okay, go ahead.
So while I'm talking, I'm going to be sharing some photos that I took for our grounding blog over the last 2 years.
I think Loretta has to stop sharing her screen so we can see Joe.
No, I'm not. Let's see if I can.
He can share. It'll take mine down for some, I don't know why it's not doing.
Stop other screen sharing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, I didn't hit share. Are you? Oh, I am screen sharing.
So now yours is up. Okay, good.
Yay.
I don't know why mine didn't come up. Maybe I didn't click the right thing.
Beautiful.
Okay, this is a grove in the Highlands of West Virginia. No, actually, it's not. This is our grounds in the springtime. So we're just going to have a continuous slideshow that's relatively unrelated to what I'm going to be talking about. So let me start with, I'm the chair of the grounds committee. Let me start with our mission statement just to let folks know. The grounds committee manages our grounds to support the River Road mission and reflect our values, including appreciation of beauty, protection of the interdependent web, and stewardship of our land and associated watershed. We protect the interdependent web of all creation by maximizing planting of trees, shrubs, and other plants that are native to Montgomery County. We provide resources to help people learn about native plantings and landscapes. And we provide natural areas of beauty to enable reflection and meditation by individuals and small groups. In terms of activities, we have regular work sessions during the spring and fall. Currently they're on Tuesday mornings from 10 to 12, but we have plans to extend to at least one Saturday a month. Currently, our work sessions are really hands-on and they're focused on removing non-native invasive plants. But there are many activities that whatever folks want to do, planting, pruning, maintaining our plantings. If you want to get involved, membership is open to all. Send an email to me or to grounds@rruuc to get on our email distribution. And soon, now that we're starting to meet more, now that we're meeting in person, we're going to start some recruiting sessions after services on Sunday. So what do I get out of this? There are so many things I get out of working on our grounds. Healing the earth. So many places. Almost every place inside the Beltway is chock full of non-native invasive plants that just are wrecking the ecosystem. So a lot of what we do is remove non-native plants and replace them with native plants that were originally found here in Montgomery County. watching, smelling, and hearing nature. I can sit on one of our wood benches in the back, you know, for an hour and just observe things, and you know, all of the senses get activated. Getting to know a piece of land through the seasons and over time, that is so rich to see how one little plot of one little garden is totally, you know, can change every week of the year, and every year also. Working with others and getting your hands dirty, very satisfying, you know, when we have our communal work sessions. Continuously learning about plants and gardening. I'm learning so much, a lot of it by mistake, and those are some of the best lessons. A visual sense of accomplishment. Through my career, I was a paper pusher, you know, and there's nothing like, you know, working on a garden or a garden bed and just getting it done. And I'll close with someone earlier on used the word awe. You know, I talk about a sense of amazement and wonder, you know, when you sit and see things, and they can be anything, as Sarah mentioned, you know, an ant, a bug, you know, a beautiful hummingbird at a native cardinal flower. Okay, you know, there's just so much. So it's a pretty special place, our grounds. I think primarily because of the water we have, the springs on our site. So I welcome folks to just take a walk back there, and if you have the interest, you know, reach out and you can help, you know, get to know the land. It's wonderful. So that's it. Thank you.
Great. Okay, thank you. So then if you stop sharing, I don't know if we've lost Charlotte, but I can try hers again.
No, I'm still here. If we could
Okay,
hear it.
let me see if I can do this.
It worked the other day.
Yeah.
Joe, that was wonderful. There's your sing group right there. You know, you can be working on the land and gardening and someone says stop and everyone freezes just to, it's that returning, getting out of the mind, just returning to being present as animals. You've got it right there. That's fabulous.
Yeah. Okay, so this time, now you can see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now let me see if I can full
Start
screen it.
at the
I'll
beginning.
start it and then I'll, okay, then I'll see if I can full screen it.
No, the sound is bad again.
But I have closed captions, so
There you go. Thank you, Loretta.
You're welcome.
It's sort of your basic organizational, but I like very much the idea of somehow combining the the grounds work with the spirituality in nature, it makes a lot of sense if Joe is interested or willing to do that. So maybe we should talk, Joe. You know,
At River Road, we already have a sing group. Well, sing.
what?
The question is, do we have a sing group at River Road?
Well, we had a group, but we stopped meeting with the pandemic. So we have a kind of a core group. There's about 5 people who came on a regular basis. Our problem was finding a good time because whoever was there wanted it to be on a Sunday, and that got to be complicated with the services. But Joe, your group, you don't meet on Sunday, do you? You meet during the week or on Saturdays? Yeah. Well, you know, that was there were a couple of logistical issues, Chris, that we didn't seem to be able to work out. And, you know, with a critical group of people, I think we could do it. I think there's enough interest, frankly, at River Road.
You might try putting something in the e-weekly.
We could, but I think we need to do some planning ahead of time. And I could definitely put it in the weekly and ask them to get in touch with me, but we could, I think the more that we do planning, the better.
Joe,
We
when
need
is
to
the
set a
grounds
time.
meeting? It was going to be after a service. When is your meeting?
The grounds meeting?
The grounds currently we meet from 10 to 12 on Tuesday morning.
No, but weren't you going to have a meeting after church one time to talk about what we're doing?
Yeah.
When is that?
I'm not sure.
Hasn't been set up yet.
No, it has. I just don't remember when it is.
Okay. Okay. Okay, well, thank you all for speaking today. Hope you
Yep.
enjoyed the.
Sarah.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. That was very, very enlightening.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Sarah. Thank you, Charlotte.
Thank you so
Jeff.
much. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we'll be in touch. We'll be in touch.
Good.
Okay, take care,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.